Welcome back to Hoosier Homes and Hustles. I'm Jessica Williams.
And I'm Stacy Preston, and we're both realtors with eXp Realty. If you're passionate about real estate, local market trends, and the future of housing, you're in the right place.
Today we're diving into a super exciting topic. Last month, the National Association of Realtors, also known as NAR, released their top 10 list of housing hotspots for 2025. And guess what? Indianapolis made the list.
That's right. We're talking about why Indy is getting national attention as a thriving housing market and what this means for buyers, sellers, and investors right here in central Indiana.
But before we jump into the details, let's talk about how the ranking came about. NAR looked at different key factors such as population growth, job market strength, affordability, and even lifestyle perks that make certain cities stand out.
That's right. According to the report, Indianapolis, which in this report encompasses our surrounding donut counties, so it's not just Indianapolis, we earned a spot on the list due to strong job growth and housing affordability. Did you know that nearly 42% of the housing inventory is priced below $236,000 here in central Indiana? That makes us especially appealing to first-time homebuyers and young families. We also have fewer locked-in homeowners than the national level. This area is likely to see more available inventory than other areas. Just for the record, this report shows that the median existing home price nationally is just above $410,000. So that shows how affordable we are compared to some of the other markets.
That's great info. So, what is a locked-in homeowner, and what is that? Why does that matter?
So I'm seeing a lot of locked-in homeowners, even though Indianapolis is lower than some of the other markets. But it's the homeowners that bought a home back with a 2.75% interest rate, and it just is not making sense for them to move for things like I need an extra bedroom or I need to downsize. So we're expecting that once the rates stabilize around 6%, those homeowners may start to move more. But what the report pointed out is that Indianapolis has fewer of those locked-in homeowners than other areas, which hopefully will offer more opportunities for buyers right here.
It really does sound like when it comes to the ranking factors, Indianapolis checks all the boxes. We've got a strong economy, job opportunity growth, cost of living that is really hard to beat, especially when compared to these larger cities on the list.
Exactly. Plus, Indy's ongoing development projects and vibrant community culture are just icing on the cake. It's no surprise that we're not only attracting first-time homebuyers, but also investors and families looking to relocate. So in today's episode, we're breaking down what makes Indy a housing hotspot for 2025. We'll talk about everything from job opportunities and lifestyle appeal to why this is the perfect time to get into the market, whether you're buying, selling, or investing.
And of course, we'll be sharing our own insights as local real estate experts in the central Indiana market. Trust us, there's a lot to be excited about.
All right, let's start with what makes Indianapolis stand out on the national level. Jessica, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Indy's strengths as a housing market?
For me, it's affordability. We are consistently ranked as being one of the most affordable markets in the country. And that's a huge draw, especially for those relocating from higher cost cities.
I totally agree. And it's not just affordability, but it's also quality of life that you're getting for that price. All right, let's get into why Indy is such a standout market. We touched on affordability, but another huge factor is our job market. Did you know that Indianapolis has one of the fastest growing economies in the Midwest?
Absolutely. We're seeing growth across key industries such as the tech sector. We got Salesforce, Genesis, Formstack, and then with our healthcare industries, we have Lilly and IU Health, and can't forget about the logistics industry with FedEx and Gula Logistics. Companies are expanding here because of our central location and business-friendly environments. This brings jobs and people to the area.
And with more people moving here, the demand for housing is only going up. But here's what's great about Indy. Even with the demand, we're not seeing the same level of price hikes that we're seeing getting people priced out in other cities.
Right, and that stability makes it a great option for not just home buyers, but investors as well. If you're looking for long-term rentals, short-term rentals, or mid-term rentals, it's a great option when Indy has such a solid ROI potential. And as somebody who locally invests, the numbers are pretty compelling.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue into short-term rentals here in Indy. Indy's tourism scene is growing with events like Indy 500, Gen Con, and our amazing sports culture. Not to mention, USA Today ranked us as the #1 convention city, meaning that we have less seasonality and a more consistent occupancy than other urban markets. It's a great market for investors looking to tap into that visitor base. And it's not just about the numbers. Let's talk about lifestyle. What do you think makes Indianapolis such a great place to live?
For starters, we've got a vibrant downtown, great restaurants, and amazing parks, family friendly neighborhoods. Whether you're a young professional, raising kids, or even retired, Indy has something to offer.
Exactly. And let's not forget about accessibility. You can get across the city in under 30 minutes. No crazy commutes here. And pretty much any of our main suburbs can get you to downtown in 20 to 30 minutes, which is awesome.
That's a game changer for most people. Plus, the cost of living lets you enjoy more of what you want to do. And that's a game changer for most people. Plus, the cost of living lets you enjoy more of what life has to offer. A night out, a weekend getaway, you're not spending every penny on your mortgage.
Of course, like any market, Indy is not without challenges. Inventory is tight right now, which means competition can be tough for buyers looking in highly desirable neighborhoods.
But on the flip side of that, it's fantastic time for sellers. Homes are moving quickly if you are priced right, the property is updated, it's in the perfect location. You could really capitalize on that demand.
Absolutely. And for buyers, the key is working with someone who knows the market, someone who can help navigate the competition and find the right fit. And that's where we come in.
We've talked a lot about why Indy is one of the hotspots for 2025, but now let's get into something we're incredibly passionate about. Why right now is a pivotal time for buyers.
Exactly. One thing we're hearing from potential buyers is, should I wait for interest rates to come down? Are you hearing that?
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
And honestly, that mindset could cost you big time in the long run. In my opinion, waiting for rates to magically drop might not be the right move.
Here's the reality. The current market, even with higher rates, is full of opportunities that buyers just aren't going to see when rates drop. And today, we want to break that down for you.
Let's talk about the market right now. Higher rates have led to less demand, which is giving buyers more negotiating power. And that negotiating power is translating into real wins for our clients.
That's right. Think about it. When demand is lower, sellers are more willing to offer concessions, reduce prices, negotiate a bit more. Plus, there's more inventory to choose from, so buyers can actually take the time to choose a property that suits them best and not feeling like they're settling.
Yeah, those are all huge wins. Now let's flip the script. Let's say you wait for rates to drop. The moment that happens, demand is going to skyrocket because, as we mentioned earlier, we've got all of these buyers that are kind of holding off and they're locked into their current mortgages. Suddenly, they're going to start looking too, and buyers lose their negotiating power, prices climb. We start to see multiple offers, and things like seller concessions and credits are gone. Compare that, it's going to be very similar to the frenzy of 2020 and 2021, when the historically low rates had buyers facing intense competition and far less leverage.
That's such a good point. If rates are expected to stabilize around 6%, it could create a more balanced market. While rates might be higher than the extremes we saw during COVID, they're still manageable and offer buyers opportunities to negotiate. Buyers need to stay strategic depending on the environment.
And that's why we believe 2025 is going to be a huge year for buyers who are ready to act now while the market is still in their favor. So we thought we would share a couple of recent examples that we've experienced with our clients just to show you kind of what is happening in the market right now. So I'll start. I had a client that came to me in December. She was a first time home buyer, and we had our buyer consultation, and she was hoping to move pretty quickly. The first win, in my opinion, is we were able to look at 5 houses in one day. And back in 2020, 2021, we were looking at a house within like 15 minutes of it hitting the market. Like we were running there and it
If
was,
you even got a showing at all.
yeah. And it was gone, by the end of the day. You weren't showing a buyer multiple properties and they weren't really able to compare a handful of properties because they could only look at that one and needed to decide in like 30 seconds if they were going to make an offer. So I think that that's a real win, that you can look, you can take your time, it's not as rushed, and you have some things to choose from. So after we looked at the 5 houses that day, we made an offer, and the property we picked had been on the market 90 days. So we came in just a little bit under asking, and we did get it for less than their asking price. The other thing that we were able to do is that we had an inspection, which I know that sounds like something buyers should be doing. But back in 2020, 2021, we were seeing a lot of offers without inspections or as is. So the fact that we were able to have an inspection and then also negotiate some repairs were a really great win for this buyer. In addition to that, we negotiated a seller paid warranty, which will protect her for the next year with any unexpected things that might come up with electrical, plumbing, appliances, HVAC, those sorts of things. So I thought overall that was a great win. We were able to find a house, like I said, the first day we went out and get her in a property within less than 30 days. So, I have a listing example too. Of This is just something that wasn't happening when rates were lower. So I had a seller who had a lot of equity and a buyer was interested in the property but needed a concession to get their rates down to a more comfortable level for their payment. And this seller was happy to provide the credit because they were still getting what they needed out of the property and kind of a win-win for both. And that was absolutely something I had never had experience with in 2020 or 2021 when we were making offers for our buyers. You weren't asking the seller for a thing. So, Jessica, I'm sure you have some examples.
Yeah, I'll give an example of a multiple offer situation I had recently. And to your point, we were able to see multiple homes, of course, but we ended up not offering over list. And again, this was a multiple offer situation. We were able to have the inspection done and negotiated seller contributions. And I think the most important thing I think for buyers to take away from this is that you did not have to offer over list because a buyer might assume you'd have to offer
Mhm.
over list if there's multiple offers on it, right? Because they really want the property. So I think it's dependent upon the inventory and the market and your other offer terms, which is why it's crucial to have a trusted realtor working with and for you.
Yeah, I had a house this fall that went under contract and it had 7 offers on it. I had a buyer. We made an offer at full price, and I just assumed we wouldn't get it because there were 7 other offers. But we actually got the offer because our terms were the cleanest and fastest to closing and all of those things. It wasn't a cash offer, but just a really clean offer. So I think that's a good point that some of our buyers and agents too are a little scarred from that multiple
Mhm.
offer situation, people offering 20,000, 30,000 over list. That's just not the reality right now.
Right.
Just a great thing for buyers. I think all of the things we just mentioned as agents allow us to protect our buyers more throughout the process, which when the market was crazy, they weren't super protected. We were waiving a lot of those things. So I think it's exciting to see the wins that our buyers are experiencing in this market. If you've been considering buying, selling, or investing in central Indiana, now may be the time for you. Let us help you navigate this market.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Hoosier Homes and Hustles. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
And if you have questions about the central Indiana, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
Let's hustle smarter together.
See you
See you
next
next time.
time.